Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
We continued discussing David Yeager's book, 10 to 25, The Science of Motivating Young People. This is the fifth part of our interpretation. You already have a mentor's mindset. You are willing to invest time and effort to provide your children, students, or subordinates with high standards and strong support, genuinely helping them grow. The next challenge is communication. Reading this book, I was struck by a realization. In everyday life, most conflicts between people are not about interests but rather about communication failures. What parent doesn't want the best for their child? Yet, children often bring the most frustration to their parents. This is due to what Yeager calls the adolescent paradox and the mentor paradox. Parenting experts generally agree. You should understand the root causes of a child's behavior rather than just reacting to their actions. You can't wait until they make a mistake to scold them. Instead, you should detect early signs and address the underlying issues in advance. In an ideal world, it would go like this. It's 7:30 in the evening, dinner is done, the child has no homework, the parent isn't working overtime, and everyone is in a good mood. They sit down for a calm discussion about recent challenges. But parents know that such opportunities are rare. Most of the time, we avoid unnecessary trouble and maintain surface-level peace. Issues only get addressed when they become unavoidable, and even then, speaking up might make things worse. It's no wonder children sometimes don't trust their parents. Because in those moments, parents are often just venting emotions or trying to preserve their self-image as good parents, positioning themselves in opposition to their child. We must return to Yeager's concept of collaborative troubleshooting, clarifying that we are working together, not against each other, to solve problems. Today, we'll cover two communication techniques: how to start a conversation and how to keep it going. The key to starting a conversation is to clearly communicate your intention to the other person. Let's look at an example. Imagine you are a police officer in a major U.S. city. One day, you receive a 911 call from a convenience store. The caller reports that a young black teenager has been inside the store for a long time, not buying anything, just wandering around. They are worried he might be planning to steal or rob the store and ask the police to check it out. You drive over and see the teenager. What do? As a law enforcement officer, it's easy to adopt an enforcer's mindset. Years of experience might lead you to assume that young people are potential threats, so the safest approach is to control them first. You might order the teenager to lie on the ground, and then handcuff him. If you do that, he will be terrified. There is a well-known saying: if good people fear the police, something is wrong with the country. In high-crime areas of the U.S., even law-abiding citizens fear the police, due to a history of power abuse and wrongful accusations. So even if this teenager has done nothing wrong, he is likely to feel nervous when confronted by an officer. Nervousness may make him want to run. If he runs, things could escalate rapidly. You would have to chase him, and in some cases, this could even lead to gunfire. A tragic misunderstanding would unfold. Fortunately, in Yeager's example, the officer was wise. Instead of making assumptions, his first words to the teenager were, "I received a call about you. I'm not here to arrest you. I just want to understand what you need and see if I can help." He did not say, "Are you trying to steal something?" The teenager responded that he had missed the free school bus while running an errand for his mother and was hoping a kind customer might give him $1.50 for a bus ticket home. The officer immediately offered to help and personally drove him home. The key to starting a conversation is to quickly build trust, and the way to do that is through transparency. If you haven't been trained in communication, it may be hard to grasp why stating your intentions clearly is so important. To you, your intentions are obvious. Shouldn't the other person already understand them? And if someone already distrusts you, will explaining your intent really change that? Yes. It may not create instant trust, but it will immediately improve the situation. Police officers often approach civilians on the street to ask questions, hoping to gather information. However, because people fear wrongful accusations, they tend to keep responses brief and end the conversation quickly. This worsens the relationship between law enforcement and the community. But in a controlled experiment, simply adding one transparency statement at the beginning dramatically improved conversations. The officer would say, "I'm just walking around to learn more about the community." This immediately lowered people's anxiety and made them more willing to chat. Yeager highlights two conditions where transparency is critical. 1. When there is a power imbalance. 2. When there is a history of conflict or mistreatment. For example, a new high school teacher noticed that the principal would often enter classrooms unannounced, sit in the back for 20 minutes, and take notes. The teacher felt nervous. Was the principal looking for mistakes? Years later, after the principal retired, the teacher learned that this was a routine practice for all teachers. Not an evaluation, just a way for the principal to stay engaged. Why not just say that up front? Similarly, in the American legal industry, junior lawyers are often afraid of senior partners. If a partner agrees with their work, they are seen as geniuses. If not, they feel like failures. This constant fear means even neutral feedback is interpreted as severe criticism. The lack of transparency fuels this anxiety. A transparency statement should meet 3 criteria. 1. Say it early. Don't wait until the conversation is halfway through. 2. Express good intentions. Make it clear that your goal is positive. 3. Be specific. Avoid vague statements like, "We, the police, need to talk to citizens." Instead, make it personal. "I'm here today to talk to you." For mentors, transparency means clearly stating your mindset. "I have high standards and strong support for you. Everything I do is for your growth. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help." You might worry that repeating this often will sound like empty words. It won't. Teenagers are especially good at detecting insincerity. They need role models and are always scanning for trustworthiness. If you are just going through the motions, they will know. That's why transparency needs to be consistent. If you are a teacher, say it on the first day of class. You can ask any questions. If you struggle with exams, I will help you improve. Then repeat it whenever relevant. Trust is built through repetition and consistency. Even if something seems obvious to you, say it aloud. Because the other person may not know it. The way to keep a conversation going is by asking questions. In writing, there is a famous rule. Show, don't tell. This means you should illustrate rather than directly state. For example, instead of simply saying, "It's cold," a skilled writer might avoid using the word "cold" altogether and instead describe a character's actions and surroundings to convey the feeling, making the writing more vivid. Yeager suggests that the key to communicating with subordinates is also to avoid directly telling them what to do. Instead, ask questions. This approach may feel counterintuitive, but it is highly effective in keeping a conversation going. Intuition and instinct lead people to see things from their own perspective, while communication requires seeing from the other person's viewpoint. In this sense, communication itself is counterinstinctive. For example, suppose your teenager has done something wrong. Maybe as a high schooler, they went out drinking and came home very late. Your instinctive reaction might be to say, "How could you do this? Are you even thinking? Do you have any idea how much you've let me down?" But that's not communication. That's just venting your emotions. Or imagine your 2 kids are roughhousing on a high-speed train, and everyone around is watching. You feel embarrassed and scold them harshly. In that moment, you're not truly communicating with your children. You're just trying to meet societal expectations of a good parent. Simply telling, that is, directly instructing or imposing, often becomes a form of suppression, a forced command that demands compliance. But no one, let alone a rebellious teenager, likes being told what to do. It feels like having someone else's will imposed on you, crushing your own desires. No one enjoys being controlled. Parenting advice is as varied as nutrition science. There's a lot of noise, and not all of it is reliable. One parenting expert Yeager endorses is Lorena Seidel, whose methods have been proven effective. Seidel's insight is that, in moments of conflict, what parents and children are actually fighting over is the meaning of the situation, not the situation itself. Parents see it as proof that the child was wrong and needs to change. Children, on the other hand, see the parent's criticism as a sign of disrespect or even a lack of love. Seidel does not believe that parents can simply stop themselves in the heat of the moment. Her advice is to wait until both sides have calmed down, before revisiting the issue through conversation. The key to that conversation is asking questions. Asking questions has 3 benefits. 1. It shifts the conversation from conflict to collaboration. Asking questions acknowledges that your perspective is limited, that you might not fully understand the situation. You're signaling, I want to hear your side. What's the problem from your perspective? Why did you do this? What do you really want? Instead of a confrontation, this becomes a joint problem-solving effort. 2. It encourages critical thinking. Maybe your child acted impulsively. Maybe they had unrealistic plans they hadn't fully thought through. By asking step-by-step questions, you help them clarify their own thoughts and align their actions with their goals. 3. It helps young people recognize their own mistakes. Imagine you're a teacher watching a student solve a math problem. Instead of saying, "You made a mistake here," you ask, "Does this step work?" That subtle shift forces them to reevaluate their own work. When they realize the mistake themselves, they won't feel belittled, because they arrived at the conclusion on their own. The questions you ask matter. Seidel emphasizes that you should only ask an authentic question with uptake. First, the question must be genuine. You should truly want to know the answer. Avoid rhetorical or accusatory questions, especially those with exclamation marks, like, "How could you do that? Are you stupid?" Instead, reframe it as, "Do you need any help? Is there a specific reason for this?" Second, the response should provide you with new insights. Something that changes the course of your conversation or your next actions. A useful questioning technique comes from Never Split the Difference, a book by Chris Voss, one of the world's top hostage negotiators. He is an expert in handling high-stakes conversations. The technique is called mirroring, and it's incredibly simple. After the other person answers a question, you repeat the last 3 words of their sentence. Then add a question mark. For example, if you ask me why I make this channel, and I say, "I write columns to make money," you would respond, "To make money?" This prompts me to explain further, keeping the conversation flowing and giving you more information. Let's look at a concrete example. A high school girl tells her mom that she's going out with friends and might come home late. Naturally, the mom is worried. What if they do something reckless? What if something happens? But instead of saying that, she follows the approach we just discussed. The mother starts with a genuine question. "Why do you want to go to this gathering?" The daughter replies, "I want to be with my friends." The mother immediately applies mirroring. "You want to be with your friends?" This achieves 2 things. First, it acknowledges that she heard her daughter, showing respect. Second, by repeating her words, she subtly signals that the answer needs more detail, without directly demanding it. It's an implicit, gentle invitation to elaborate. Now, imagine if the mother had asked, "Why do you want to be with your friends?" The daughter might feel attacked. "Of course, I want to be with my friends. Are you questioning my values?" Mirroring keeps the tone neutral and prevents defensiveness. As a result, the daughter naturally explains, "I'm afraid that if I don't go, they'll have fun without me, and next time, they might not invite me." Now the mother realizes. Her daughter isn't planning to drink or get into trouble. She's afraid of losing friendships. Understanding this deeper motivation, the mother can now guide her toward alternative solutions. Maybe leaving the party earlier or inviting friends over instead. If you have a teenager, you'll recognize this kind of tense conversation. But these high-stakes dialogues don't just happen in parenting. They happen all the time. We just don't always realize when we're getting them wrong. That's it for today's content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.